Hello, welcome to the sideboard one last time here at the Regional Championship, part of SEGCon, Washington, D.C. I'm Nick Miller alongside our Pioneer Regional Championship champion, Cory. Congratulations.
Thank you, it's a pleasure.
We've got a massive and heavy trophy that is very delicate.
It even looks like a little tree, like a tree and a slime from Dragon Quest, like a little mix.
As if it was just conjured for you.
Of course.
Take us through that last match, because that was tense. From the ripped Hazaret down to you both just trading top decks. What were you thinking there?
It's one of those, we're two very similar decks. We're both playing Thoughtseize, we're both playing Fable of the Mirror Breaker, we're both playing Fatal Push, a bunch of removal spells. In that context, Connor's trying to get off on Atraxa, Transmogrify, and I'm trying to beat down. The longer the game goes, the more like Blood Ties I'll draw that'll sort of get outclassed. So the goal is either assemble the Cauldron combo or, as it played out game 3, sort of curve Marvin into Thrill Seeker and have both of those representing additional damage on board. And Thrill Seeker, I find, is more effective in the matchup as a way to handle Transmogrify, to handle at instant speed while applying pressure.
Right, and your deck did come out of the gates pretty fast. I mean,
it did.
That looked like a beat down draw, probably about as best as you can draw it up.
Yeah, certainly a Fear Missing Out is one that can really enable it. There are certain Thrill Seeker combos as well, and Fable, and it's not so much a beatdown deck so much as you put 2 power in play, you put 3 power in play, and then before your opponent realizes it, you're attacking for 17, while playing high quality cards like Fable of the Mirror Breaker.
Tell me about your process on coming to this deck, because this thing had been kind of in the woodwork for a while.
I'm the one who made it, so I'm going to flex a little bit. Going back to, I think it was around April or May, I started looking at Agatha's Soul Cauldron, and I said, this card is busted. I loved Birthing Pod. They banned Birthing Pod probably correctly, but I said, this is like the closest thing to Birthing Pod. So I figured out how to look up just all activated abilities in Pioneer, and eventually I looked at Tree of Perdition. And it is as close to target player loses the game as you'll get on an activated ability. So I tried, and I had some success with other earlier versions with Stitcher Supplier. I had a Vampire hybrid one where you played Sorin and Vein Ripper, and it was just sort of like jam the 2 combos together. But Duskmourn with Fear Missing Out really ties the deck together, making it work both as a sort of aggressive strategy while also being a combo enabler. And a lot of people hate Marvin. A lot of people told me, I tested Marvin, he sucks. Marvin's my guy. Marvin won like 6 games this weekend. You play a Marvin, he can block, just trade off for an Emberheart Challenger, but then sometimes you cast a tree and they're at 2 life. Yeah. And you have a 2/18, what are you going to do? Or in like the final game where he was functionally an additional Thrill Seeker that I could play onto to curve into.
So you put the deck on the map on Magic Online then?
Yes.
Because we did a deck tech yesterday and Tommy called you out.
Jupiter Brando's yes. So thank you, Tommy. I appreciate it.
So the credit was served, and
yes.
It is true, and pretty awesome that you were able to put the finishing touches on the tournament, saying this deck is for real.
It is. I've sort of been like, there are a lot of decks where players, pilot them and are clearly good, and it's difficult to sort of ascertain whether this is just one good player playing their pet deck and doing well because of it, or if it is the deck that is that good and someone stumbled onto something. I've definitely had the thought of, is this a like God made a burrito so hot he can't eat it thing, where I stumbled into this. But I feel reasonably confident after today saying I think I played okay. There was some sloppy stuff in the last 2. That match against Patrick was in quarterfinals was probably the best match of Magic I've ever played in my life, and took a lot out of me mentally. But I've sort of been, preaching to anyone who will listen, please put Tree of Perdition and Soul Cauldron in your Fable of the Mirror Breaker deck. And maybe now someone will listen. I
would hope people would listen now.
Fingers crossed.
Do you have any shout outs, anyone to talk, celebrate along with?
All the people who, the deck never really took off. I think it was, 1.5% of the meta at this tournament. Had a good win rate. I think second best behind Selesnya Company.
Yeah, it was played by a lot of strong players too.
But everyone who contributed to the deck in testing in some form, Rachel, Jay, John, Lucas, Andrew, Ben, Steven, Zalo, I could name a whole lot of people, and if I forgot you, I'm sorry. Please bug me to mention you again. But it's certainly, I sort of, marked the spot on the map, but a lot of people did some digging. And, Steven Yeen, Hazarets in the sideboard, was sort of within the last week innovation. We decided we wanted something a little more for Rakdos mid-range and for Phoenix, and they were absolute gas every time they came in. Finals certainly showed it, and a whole lot beyond that.
Well, you've got a Pro Tour invitation, another RC invitation, a whole bunch of money, but a World Championship slot. Not a lot of people get to play in those events.
Yeah.
How does that feel to qualify for that?
I mean, the Mets did lose today, so it's a little bit like a bittersweet feeling. But it's certainly. I woke up this morning. I started 7-2. I was 4-2, 5-2 at one point, and yesterday I was exhausted. I don't sleep well in hotels, but I told myself, like, if I can make it to 7-2, I felt like there was a match yesterday I could have won if I was more alert and playing better. And I told myself if I can make it to 7-2. I feel like I can make a run tomorrow, and it happened. I also wanted to give a shout out to Nicholas, my round 10 opponent, today on Blue-White Control. I probably got the luckiest I've ever gotten to win that match, and that was a sign to me of, like, don't take this for granted. Like, to get bailed out like that, like, lock in, play as best you can, and it paid off. So I'm really... because he was very gracious and appreciative, and
Anyone who wins a tournament will tell you they got lucky along the way.
Yes.
You used that luck, harnessed it, focused, played well, and now you're the championship. Congratulations. We'll send it back to Cedric and Patrick to close it out here in Washington, D.C.